everyone, how's it going? My name is Liz Yang and welcome to Crypto Builders of New York City, a show that shines a spotlight on crypto founders, builders, and visionaries, right here in New York City, the crypto capital of the world. Today I'm joined by Chairman Birb Bernanke, finance femme fatale, high priestess of crypto schizoposting, and cultural iconoclast. Welcome, Chairman Birb Bernanke.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
And how's that for an intro?
That is a heck of an intro. You can just call me Birb. Chairman was my father.
Oh my God. So you've lived all over the US. You know, you're in New York now, but you've lived in the Midwest and you've lived in the Deep South. I am so curious if there are any assumptions that New Yorkers make about other parts of the country that are just wildly off base.
I love that question because one of my favorite things about when I lived in Chicago is that all of these New Yorkers would come visit and they would just be shocked that there was like a real city there.
Yeah, oh, this is a real
city.
Like,
did you guys know there's a train here and you can get like, they have these corner stores that are almost bodegas.
They have pizza here too, but pizza? Different.
Admittedly, the pizza is gross. It's more of a casserole. All of Chicago is going to kill me for that. But yeah, no, I love when New Yorkers step outside of New York and realize like the rest of the country does actually have stuff. So that's always a fun one for me.
No, I could totally see that. And what about the flip side? Like when you go visit your friends like in the South and the Midwest, do they have misconceptions about New York?
They just think New Yorkers are a lot ruder than they are.
Yeah, right.
Which,
like from the movies or whatever.
Right. And I think there's like cultural differences that make it so that like the way people communicate down south, it's a lot slower and there's a lot more like
niceties, right? Like
niceties, social etiquette that you have to do, like these little rules and dances of like, it's kind of rude if like a cashier at a grocery store is asking you how your day is to be like, why are you talking to me?
I think there's just different cultural mores. Yeah. So something about me is that like, I grew up in a place where if you pass someone in the street, the most polite thing to do was to ignore them. Like, even if it was just like you guys on one block. And I actually had to learn this thing. I'm like, oh, you're supposed to say hi to people.
You're
like,
supposed to smile at them.
You're supposed
to
smile.
Them. Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to say hi in an elevator. And it's something that's like so unnatural to me. But it's just like the way I was conditioned. Like, the nicest thing you can do is not impose on someone's day.
I think a lot of that too, especially in New York and in bigger cities, is that there's so many people kind of all on top of each other and in each other's space that everyone has this very polite fiction of, you know, if I just ignore you, like it's your public, it's your space.
It's your private space.
It's your private space.
We're in the elevator together, but we're alone.
But we're actually alone.
Yeah.
Or like if someone's crying on a train, like no one here will look at them because I would want that for me. You know, don't look at me if I'm crying on the train.
Sometimes it goes too far. Like I had this catastrophic knee injury 2 years ago in New York City. It was so stupid. I was like running after a cab and I fell in the street and I couldn't get up for like a full minute because I fell in a really weird way. But I'll never forget this. This guy was biking by and he was like, hope you're okay. And he like doesn't even stop to like literally no one helped me. Like I always thought like if something happened, someone would help, but like literally no one helped.
I fell down the stairs the other day.
Wait, when you were tweeting, right?
Yeah, I was trying to make a joke and I fell down the stairs at the subway and like multiple people watched it happen. And like I caught myself in this like very weird way. I kind of like tumbled and then went, oh, and like I think I bent like 3 things that aren't supposed to bend that way.
Oh my God.
And a bunch of people just kind of stared at me and one guy just clapped, which was like way worse because I was just embarrassed.
He's like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I was like, I can't put any weight on my leg right now, but thank you for clapping.
Oh
like,
my God.
Super happy about that.
That is wild. Yeah. So you've been in New York City for 2 years. Yeah. Like, how has it been? Like, how does it compare to Chicago? Like, are you enjoying yourself?
You know, I really love about New York the fact that there's so much happening all the time that like you can't do everything. I think that's my favorite thing, maybe one of my favorite things. I think everything's my favorite thing. every time people are like, oh, New York, I have like a different favorite thing that day. But like there's so much going on and there's so much to do that you actually have to pick what you want to do and pick what you don't want to do because there's just no way you could do all of it.
For sure.
That kind of forces you to figure out who you are like a lot more, I think.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because, you know, if you've got enough optionality that you could go to like 12 events because there's nothing like competing with those 12 things.
Right.
You really don't have to pick or like be like, you know, these are the things I value, these are the things I don't. Whereas here, there's something all the time, every night, always.
That's true.
And different people. And it really forces you to kind of prioritize and figure out like what resources you want to direct where.
And what about being a crypto builder in New York City? Like, what is the crypto scene like? Is there anything different about working from New York City versus the other places you've worked?
You know, it's definitely different here. Chicago had a pretty good scene in the sense that everyone was very tightly knit. Everyone knew each other. And I mean, I was there back in 2020, 2021, when people like Eden were doing things like she was setting up Jump had the Pit, which was kind of the first iteration, I think, of the modern crypto like office where everyone's like, we want people to come in and hang out and also work here,
right? But
also our office is here. Yeah, they were really like the first ones doing that in the space, like at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah, and making it a space that they could have like more builders, more people come in. I know there was like similar things in New York, but the Pit was really special and it just had a ton of people in it. But it's cool to come to New York and see that kind of culture spread and the way people have like changed it and made it even bigger and cooler. Like Monad has the studio now, which is really nice.
Right.
It's really a great resource for builders and a great resource to go in and just, I need to lock in and do stuff.
For sure.
There's also just so many more people here.
Yeah,
you know, just by virtue of population, that there's more people to talk to. There's more people who have been through whatever it is that you're trying to figure out or build or do. So there's a lot more resources here than I would say in Chicago for like, hey, I have half of an idea. Like, let me talk to people that can help. Right. And like, let me get to the financing part of it because there's a lot more like VC and just finance function stuff here. Function stuff is a weird way to put that, but
I like the function stuff.
Function stuff.
That's like a band name.
The apparatus of financial
all the
piping.
Things.
Yeah. Stuff.
So I saw on Twitter, or X, shall we say?
I don't think we should.
We shouldn't say that.
We shouldn't say that.
We shouldn't say that. I saw on Twitter that you are starting a new thing called Soup.
It is.
And you described it as starting with events management and ending with Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah, that makes me sound evil.
Can you unpack that?
I am still figuring out what the right narrative box is to put Soup into. But the way I'm kind of explaining it to people is, this starts as something very focused around consulting and events and focusing a lot on the strengths of the things I've done over the past couple of years. And as I work with these teams, getting more and more of their data, and then as I get more of their data, drawing stronger kind of connections and mapping the influence and mapping really where humans are on the internet. Because I think one of the things that's happening is that in the age of AI slop just everywhere, we are seeing people kind of retreat from public internet spaces. You know, people aren't like scrolling the timeline anymore to get alpha or real information. What they're doing is kind of retreating to these gate-kept, like curated networks of value creation. And that's a really fancy way of saying like the group chat. You know, everybody's got kind of their own form of this. Everybody's got their own, like, I'm building a network state, or I'm doing this, or my group chat is doing that, or all of these things are just an atomization of like, people want to connect and talk to each other in these smaller spaces that they know who's there and that they can trust people around them to either give them information or know about things. And those are kind of where people are just hanging out. And with that, if everyone keeps doing that and kind of decentralizing and going further and further away from public spaces, the internet sort of breaks. In the sense that like logging off is becoming a luxury good.
Definitely.
It's like high net worth coded already to be, oh, I took a screen detox, right?
It's like Jack Dorsey going to Malaysia for
I was
his
on a
silent meditation retreat.
You know, I didn't touch an electronic in 6 months. There's been no blue light in me forever.
I slept on the floor. I got bitten by mosquitoes.
I'm better than everybody because I did ayahuasca. Like
exactly. Oh my God.
Yeah, but all of these things are like, I got off the internet and disconnected. But in that kind of like framework, how do you market to people? Right? Like every marketing frame, like playbook that could possibly exist breaks under those conditions. Because you can't optimize your SEO if nobody's Googling. You can't, you know, go and see something on a public timeline if no one's on your timeline.
Yeah.
And so in that kind of space, like a lot of things break down. And I think it becomes really hard for people to find the like goods and services that would actually improve their life. And then products that are building won't be able to find users. So what we have to do is essentially map the group chats. And nobody wants to give me their data for that. And I understand that. I wouldn't ask people to give me their messaging data. That's super private. But what you can do is look at a lot of behaviors and a lot of publicly available data and kind of put them all together. And, you know, there's things like when you see a bunch of people that you know kind of all hang out together, start tweeting about the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Or they start retweeting each other's content, or like all of a sudden you see everyone talking about this new narrative. You can kind of use like mimetic research to trace back where all of these ideas came from. And you can start drawing the social graph of like, this is kind of this person's group. You know, these are the people they interact with. And once you have that, you can kind of start to draw like a map of the social graph. And so with that, that's kind of all like idea one, right? Is that this is all happening. We have to be able to figure out where people are. But idea number two is that I really truly believe you can curate and manipulate the environment around you to tend towards the outcomes you want. And that's just a fancy way of saying, like, if you think about your goals, you can set things up to reach your goals. But I really feel that, especially in the crypto space, people are not thinking about outcomes, like, ever. Especially when it comes to events and when it comes to like marketing and merch and all of these things. And a perfect example of this is the like $100,000 rave side event. Like, all of these people, they're like, we threw this rave. There were 9 raves. We don't really know why we did it. Maybe it wasn't even the right people we were trying to reach. But our BD person invited all of their BD friends, and everyone came and was an IRL airdrop farmer, right? Like, they drank all the booze, they ate all the food.
They got the t-shirt.
They got the t-shirt. Everyone said, let's connect on Telegram. And then, you know, they shared each other's QR codes, and then they went to the next one. And like, did you get any ROI out of that? Probably not. You know, probably not. And
or at least it's not capital efficient.
It's definitely not capital efficient.
Yeah.
And I know from having done, you know, all of the West Ham parties and bootstrapping all of that, it's not that expensive to do an event that tailors towards the people that you want to come to the event. You know, so the way Soup kind of really starts is I have kind of some of this map already. And what I can do is take it to protocols and be like, cool that you threw that rave. Why? And a lot of them, because I've already started doing this, have been like, we actually don't know why. We don't know what we're doing. We're just doing that because everybody else is doing it.
Right, we thought that's something you're supposed to do.
We thought that's what we were supposed to do. So instead, if they come work with Soup, you know, we spend some time and some capital to come up with who is it you're trying to reach? Why are you trying to reach them? What do you want them to do? What's your goals for having an event? Like, why do you even want all these people to gather in the first place? And then figuring out from that set of like questions, the right event to put on for them. And those are going to be much, much cheaper. So, you know, even if you come to me and you spend, and these are going to be fake numbers, 10 grand kind of on that, and then 40 grand on whatever we come up with, but you were going to spend 100 before, that's still like a 50% savings.
Right.
So there's a lot that you can do with that. And as I work with teams and as we kind of build these better events so that people aren't wasting their time, you get more data. As you get more data, the map kind of grows. As the map grows, like I get stronger and stronger kind of indications of what's working and what's not working. And I think after I reach kind of a certain point, what I'll be able to do is generalize all of this and turn it into like a framework and a suite of tools. And then that's where things kind of get a lot more schizo, is that what I want to do with that is kind of go to adjacent industries and sell the tooling, not the data. That should never be public. I think once everything becomes like this public thing that anyone can look at or see, it becomes totally gameable and fake. You see that with InfoFi right now. Like, the second anything is legible, it becomes like a game to see how they can manipulate it. So that can't happen. So it's not like an open source protocol thing that everyone just can scroll around on a map and see like everybody's friends. That would be insane. But as other industries start putting in like their data, what you really get, everyone thinks of influence as like, if you think of a social graph, they think of like the big person in the middle with the 100,000 followers, and then they've got all these little like nodes around them of little people that they just send the information, and then these little people go and do whatever it is that big person wanted them to do. That's not really influence. That's a bubble. What real influence is how wide can your ideas go? How far can you get? Like, how much reach can you actually get? How much can you change people's behavior? So what I'm not looking for is those big nodes. What I'm really looking for is the connector nodes of people that are like on the edge of one graph, but lead you to another. Like in a video game where if you've explored one part of the world and then you go down this path and then all of a sudden there's a new world open to you, like that path mattered a lot more. So looking for those people and kind of just building out the map so that at the end of the day, or in the grand scheme of things, what you're left with is a map of the human layer of the internet.
That's really interesting. It's a very ambitious vision.
It's abstract and a little crazy, but I think it can work. I mean, I know it can work because we've already done it with West Ham for the past couple of years.
So this tooling that you mentioned, how exactly would it work and what sort of value would it provide absent the underlying data?
So absent the underlying data, it's got to be something where like when I give it to another industry or another people who are kind of working on adjacent problems, and I've already got some people like testing and kind of I'm working out with them, is that I think it's a set of tools for like, what kind of data do you already have? How can we, like, what have you noticed about the world? Because I've got this whole kind of taxonomic classification structure I've come up with that's very qualitative instead of quantitative. And I'm putting those in as kind of richer dimensions of personhood, because I think there's different functions, like how people talk in group chats. They all serve, like, people in the same group chat serve a different purpose at different times, and the underlying like chat liquidity changes based on like who's the makeup of who's there, the makeup of what they're talking about, like how much information they're actually trying to get across. And so putting all of those things in, I think what I can do with that is kind of build out like questions and things I've learned and be like, okay, these are the tools. Now someone else can go put in like, here's my observations, here's how this group works, here's what I know, and here's what I have, and then start to build out their own.
I really love that phrase you use, chat liquidity.
Thank you.
It's so descriptive.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. And I love this anthropological look at the group chat. And by the way, I completely agree with you. I think because of the rise of AI tooling, enabling easier content creation, we do have a lot of AI slop. And actually across different things that I've seen on TikTok, you're already seeing people move away from getting opinions from bigger platforms. Like for example, let's say you want to organize a dinner for your friends on Friday. I used to go on Yelp and just like comb through restaurants and read through reviews, but now I don't do that anymore because I feel like there's like review inflation.
What do you do?
I go on TikTok.
Really?
Yes.
And you feel like the TikTok reviewers are more honest than the review inflation that you see on Yelp?
There's certain people whose taste and curation I trust.
Exactly.
And so it's not like sometimes it is so where I'm like, oh, like what's popping off on TikTok. But more so it's like, I think this person has really similar taste to me in restaurants.
I think that's really interesting because it kind of fits into the model I've got, because I've kind of only explained like one half of what soup does and why it matters and why it's important. And that's like enough for a whole business in and of itself. But what you're hitting on there is the idea that like, you have certain curators that you trust, and they're kind of not necessarily, like, TikTok is a little bit in the public, but if you had like a group chat, you might go to that group chat and be like, hey, person XYZ that like I have this in common with, like, what do you recommend? And it's kind of the same thing. But what I really see and what really scares me, especially with that, is that this is the easiest it'll ever be to tell if somebody's a human or a bot. Like, it's never going to be easier than it is right now. It is only going to get harder from here on out.
And people still can't tell.
It's terrifying. It's genuinely one of the scariest things to me, thinking about like 5 years in the future. There's absolutely no way that you're going to be able to tell if someone even exists unless you meet them in person.
Exactly. Even with video content, like there's some really good AI video
content. There's some great AI deepfaking already.
Right. 100%.
And there's already people, like you're saying, that can't tell if it's true or not, or can't tell if it's real or not. So the other part of soup is that I think as all of these things like happen and everybody gets like more neurotic and more offline, the only forms of marketing that will be left will be like word of mouth or physical spaces. Like maybe on, the subway, or your friend tells you about something, because there's nothing else people can trust if everything is an AI bot. So as we kind of move into that world, someone has to be setting up like the place where the group chat can translate from digital third space to physical third space. Because someone, like, the free exchange of ideas still has to happen somewhere. Otherwise, nobody's going to be sharing ideas. And that's a scary world, And so I think that the way this kind of turns into sort of a soup loop, if you will. TM, the soup loop is that, I can go to these protocols and be like, if you want people to find your stuff, sponsor the third space. That's the only way you're going to be able to influence people towards your cause, is by going and meeting with them and talking to them and aligning them with what it is that you care about. So you have to bring something to the table. in this case, maybe it's, the right kind of environment for the right kind of people to come in and talk about the right kind of stuff so that they are the right people for you to find and find your products. And then like the network distribution of that works out from there. So it kind of becomes this flywheel of someone needs to be setting them up. Someone has to know where everyone is. So now it just becomes like a people matching engine.
Talk to me about the phases of building out Soup. So right now you're raising a friends and family round.
Right now I'm raising a little bit of money. I already have some revenue, which is really nice. I'm in a really, really nice position. I have some very, very cool angels that I'm really excited to be on my side.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I can't say enough good things. I can't wait a little bit to kind of hopefully mog the timeline and be like, what? Like, it's hard? Maybe that's my own ego speaking.
I actually love that. It's like revenue meta. You don't even have, like, the company's not even, like, formed yet. I mean, I don't know if it's, like, formed yet
No,
or
I'm definitely not done incorporating yet, which is why I'm kind of like, I built Soup Deck first, which is kind of insane.
I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense.
But it helped me, like, figure out, what the product actually was. How does it work together? Like, what are the things that matter? Because before, it was just like this collection of psychotic thoughts in my head.
For sure.
And so the phases of building it out go something like consulting, getting the data, building out, more events for more people, getting more clients, watching that go well, kind of manipulating and taking things from the data and building out. There's some things I have to do data-wise, about like relationship scoring, because just because everyone's in a group chat together doesn't necessarily mean that like someone would offer someone else a job, or that they actually even like each other. There are definitely people in group chats that I hate. So there's a lot of like relational scoring that has to be done and outcome tracking of these events beyond just like Luma sending a, hey, did you have a good time at this party? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of that needs to be built. And then, once that is kind of its own container, looking at all of the events I've done by that point, looking at all of the things that have gone well, kind of introspecting on them and going, how does this generalize? Like, where are the abstract truths of it? And how do we make those into tools that other people can use? And figuring that out is kind of phase 2. And I've already kind of got some ideas. I've already got some things in progress. I learned how to vibe code so that I could do some parts of it. And then phase 3 is where it gets really, really crazy. I think if you've got a map of human layer internet, and what I mean by that, because I realize I haven't like defined that term, is that in this AI world, like we already have this where you've got agent to agent interaction and there's just no humans in between. Mm-hmm. So how do you tell if you have a product, like, are those 50 agents interacting on it that belong to one person, or do you have 50 DAUs? And so someone's got to be able to look at these things and be like, there's an AI to AI layer. This is all just AI communication. No people are involved, and the people layer is kind of under it. So once you've got that whole map of the people layer, you can start to do meta-analysis on like, what are the behaviors of people in groups? It's a lot taking from like mimetic research, a lot taking from anthropological studies. There's emergent behaviors I've been looking at in like swarm dynamics of like how birds move together in a swarm. I think you can apply a lot of it to like meme coin swarms. So there's a lot of behaviors that you can take and start to go, okay, what are these people like versus what are these robot behaviors like? And people have already made like some attempts at this, but I don't think anyone's doing it on like the group and informational level. And from there, what happens is that I'm trying to find the people that are trapped in the like all bot clusters. And what I mean by that is that, so the way like Twitter's algorithm works, you've got these things called sim clusters, mm-hmm. where based on like when you first sign up and the first pieces of content you interact with, it assigns you to a community. And if you're lucky, you get more than one. Like it's hard and rare for people to be in more than one or two, because they make it very, very difficult once you're in them to even be labeled as something else. You have to actively be seeking like very different information. So it has you, and then what it looks at to serve you new information is like the people you've recently interacted with and their content. And from there, it starts to look at like, well, what did their circle interact with? And what is that content? And how recent is it? And how likely are you to like interact with it based on a whole bunch of algorithmic scoring and things they do? So there's this nightmare scenario I have of like, you have a group chat you really like, right? Like, I'm sure you have one where you're just friends and everyone's in there and they've got like years of shared context and lore and
inside jokes.
You've got, all sorts of connective tissue with these people. What happens one day when you wake up and find out everybody but you is a bot?
That would actually be a really good premise for a movie or a show. It probably happens.
It's probably, I think it already happens.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily like an original concept. Like, I'm sure there's sci-fi from the 70s that's like, everybody's a robot. And you're like, well, same idea, right? But beyond that, you know, I think it would be A, traumatizing, B, it would really mess with your sense of reality.
Totally. It'd be
C,
very disorienting.
Be so confused about like what it is to even be a person.
Right.
What
like,
does any of your interaction mean? What's real? But then how do you get out of that? Because all of the bots only are interacting with bots, and all of those bots are only interacting with bots. So you've essentially done the IRL version of like heaven banning yourself, where you're just surrounded only by bots. And so I think in like my grand soup does everything wow phase, like you can start to scan for those people and their activity of like who is stuck in the bot hell and pull them out and get them back into real life with other real people so that they kind of get a foundational like level setting of like, oh, I'm back in reality.
Right.
It's because we're already seeing everyone get psychotic and terrifying from talking to ChatGPT for too long.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So these people are going to need help.
Let's move on to some lightning round questions.
Ooh, okay.
What is your hottest food take that would get you flamed on Twitter?
Okay, this has gotten me flamed on Twitter before. I don't think Mexican food is very good.
That is crazy.
I don't think Mexican Tex-Mex or American Mexican food.
Or Cali-Mex.
Okay, you put a French fry in a burrito, groundbreaking. Like,
my heart, it hurts.
I had really good Korean burritos in college. They also put French fries in their burritos. That's not special. Like, you put rice in a burrito. Wow. Carbs
it's a carb in a burrito.
Awesome. Groundbreaking. No, I think most of it is just a remix. And don't come for me on this one. I'm so sick of people being like, well, you haven't had a walk-in food or this one synod in blah, 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 or South Mexico. Shut the hell up. Like, I don't care. Yeah, I'm sure like a baked fish is fine, whatever. But like the Mexican food widely available in America is boring. It's just a remix of beans, cheese, and wheat.
What about like one of my favorite parts of Mexican food, not that I'm trying to convert you, is the salsa, you know, like the flavors and like the freshness. Like,
sure.
Do you don't like that either?
I don't mind chips and dip. Like, I'll have a chips and salsa, but like, I don't think I've ever woken up and been like, if I don't have chips and salsa today, I'm gonna die.
Okay, what is your go-to comfort food then?
Oh, really fatty tuna.
Ooh,
really,
like Japanese, like fatty tuna. Otoro.
Yeah. Otoro, chutoro, yeah.
Negi toro.
Negi toro.
Love it all.
Yeah,
okay.
Even like a fatty little yellow fish.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I'll let that slide. I'll let what you said about Mexican food slide. Like, I do love Japanese food.
I love Japanese food. I love Thai food. I love Malaysian food. Actually,
I love Malaysian food.
Malaysian food might be my real answer here is curry. What's the word for the soup? I'm forgetting
Laksa?
it. Laksa, curry laksa.
I love Assam laksa.
I love curry laksa.
Oh my god, they're both so good.
They're so good. There's a place, actually, I'm gonna plug this place. Go, if you are ever in Chicago, go to Sarai. It is on Milwaukee Ave. It is in Logan Square. It is the best curry laksa I've ever had. Wow. I wake up craving it. I haven't had anything half as good in New York.
I honestly believe that because I think a lot of the Malaysian food in New York is okay. I feel like they tone it down.
They do.
Right?
Do. Although I did find a really good spot in Chinatown called Wok Wok.
Okay,
someone
someone
else put me onto it. I can't remember who. I was talking about Malaysian when I first moved here, and you don't ever want to eat in there. I don't.
It's
think
like a takeout spot.
I don't think it's very clean.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
I don't think it has like a great like health rating.
Okay.
But the food slaps.
Okay.
Worth it.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah. Wok Wok. It's in Chinatown.
Okay. So on Twitter, you've posted a lot of dating discourse.
Yes.
You have a lot of girlfriends who can't find partners.
Yes.
So if it were up to you, how would you solve the fertility crisis?
Well, soup fixes this. Believe it or not, also soup. No, I really, though, one of the first parties I'm throwing, or events or gatherings or whatever shelling point you want to use, is actually a singles mixer. And the whole reason that tweet popped off, I wrote it that way on purpose. Anyone who's ever met me knows full well that I have never used the word rock star before. So anyone who took that seriously, that's your fault. You know what? Like, so many of my friends were like, you got me so bad with that one. And I'm like, I put the most obvious, like, this is bait words I could have in there. How did that get you?
Right.
But to get to it, I had a friend I was talking to, and she was like, I just can't find a man. And for all these other reasons. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go tweet about this. The rage bait will be able to bootstrap with the amount of money I can make off of this, a place for me to throw a party. Because that was my whole...
Wait, that's like 4D trust.
I was trying to get the Twitter payout so that I could get the party funding.
You manifested this.
Yes, I hyperstitioned it. It's real. You know, like you can actually just do stuff.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'll use the Twitter payout and like that'll cover the booze or something. And like I'll use someone's house and like, yeah.
Wait, I love that. I did not know that was the origin.
So the whole point was that you can use mimetic force to get the stuff you want if you know what you want. So that was my whole thing. And then I actually, a couple of days later, was like, if this tweet didn't immediately give you psychic damage, like, here's a form you can fill out. I'm going to throw a party about it. I've had 250 replies. 250 people have filled out that form.
What's the split of men and women?
It's like 60-40.
That's pretty good.
That's
like
pretty
men
good.
Usually do not want to attend these things.
No.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's like 60-40. And I got a lot of people being like, oh, well, a real high value man would never reply for this. And I'm like, you know what? You just outed yourself as
a low value man.
A low value man. I made the form kind of long to kind of filter out anyone that like wasn't serious or troll answers. I'm going through them now. I'm trying to find out who's in New York and who's in SF because that was the two biggest places people replied. And I think I'm going to run the first party in a couple of weeks, actually.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. I remember when I saw that tweet, I like messaged you immediately. I was like, I am not single, but I would love to attend and be a fly on the wall.
Exactly. And I think it all has to be like, the singles part of it and like the mixing part of it has to just be secondary to it being like a really good normal party.
Right.
Otherwise, it's going to turn into this weird sexual PvP zone that like I don't want that energy.
Sexual Squid Game.
Yeah, right. Like that's not fun for anyone. So I think what I'm going to do is some sort of like questing thing or bingo where you walk in where it's like some kind of schizo bingo where you have to go find like 3 eldest children or like someone with an embarrassing subway story. Like, so you have to go talk to people.
Right.
The other concept I'm kind of thinking of with that is things like, even though it's going to be an open bar, I'm thinking about handing out drink tickets so that you have to be like, hey, can I buy you a drink?
Oh.
Because otherwise there's like no way to even buy a drink. And then that's just people getting too drunk.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of like little social games and experiments I'm putting in it. So
I think that's really cool.
I think everyone's going to feel a little bit like they're in a social experiment, but like that's enough of a gimmick. You know, that's the fun of it. It's just meeting new people. So I think my long answer to how am I solving the fertility crisis is I'm getting you people together. Not you, but like, you know, you people. I am putting the single women in the room with the good single men, and I am going to make you talk to each other and have a good time and be normal. And I know that I can do this because I've done this at West Ham parties. I've done this at other parties. I've done this a whole bunch.
Thank you, Birb, for
Thanks
joining
for having
today.
Me on. This was so fun.
Yes, I had a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what happens with Soup.
Thank you. I'm excited about it.
And thank you for tuning in to Crypto Builders of New York City. I'll see you next time.